It's so good to be back with another Talk Daredevil YouTube minisode, especially after the amazing turnout we had for our trending event on November 29th. Daredevil fans came out and showed up, helping the Save Daredevil hashtag trend nearly all day in 15 countries worldwide. We know Marvel noticed us, and we hope they'll keep listening.
Yeah, also thank you for that. Today we have a very interesting minisode that kind of ties into the whole trending party. We noticed that some fans still have some confusion regarding the return of the Daredevil rights to Disney, and we thought this will be a great opportunity to clarify the situation for those who are wondering what rights did Marvel and Disney just got back from Netflix, and what rights, if any, does Netflix still have. First, let's make this clear from the start. Netflix does not own Daredevil or any of the Marvel Netflix series, and they never did. While things were confusing at the initial time of the cancellation, it has become more and more clear that Netflix maintains exclusive distribution rights, and only for a limited window of time.
That's right. In fact, a huge motivating factor for the Marvel Netflix cancellations that was eventually revealed in reporting by The Hollywood Reporter in February 2019 gave us these telling quotes. Put simply, Netflix did not have an ownership stake in any of its Marvel TV series. Each of the 6 Marvel shows was owned by Disney. Netflix paid ABC Studios a steep licensing fee for each season of its respective series. This matches up with an early quote we actually have from a Bob Iger interview that came out right after the Marvel Netflix shows were announced in 2013. He says, "This gives us an opportunity to create and own 4 new series that Netflix will have exclusivity on for a period of time, starting in 2015, when the series are made available to them." So no, once again, Netflix has never owned Daredevil or any of the other Defender series, and by extension, they do not own the Charlie Cox version of Daredevil or any of the other Daredevil characters. Daredevil the character, and frankly any live-action version of Daredevil, has always belonged to Disney and Marvel. They were simply prevented from using their own IP for 2 years during that moratorium. Another way to think about it is that they couldn't use their own IP during this cooling down non-compete period, because that clause itself specifically prevented the characters from appearing in non-Netflix series or films. Now that that moratorium is over, we can safely assume that they are released from those restrictions, and using Daredevil or developing new projects around Daredevil is fair game for Marvel.
Yeah, and we hope that they use them soon. But some of you might still be wondering, if Disney got the rights back, why are Daredevil and the other shows still on Netflix? If it is a Netflix original, does it mean it is their show? Well, not necessarily. So a Netflix original can mean many things. It can be a series that is produced or co-produced by Netflix, like Stranger Things, in which case they do own the series. But it can also be a series that's produced for Netflix, but not by Netflix, meaning that Netflix is just the parent network, as is the case for the Marvel shows and House of Cards. Or it can also be a series that's produced for another network, but to which Netflix has exclusive distribution rights in a certain country, as is the case for Black Lightning outside of the United States, which we know is Black Lightning is actually a CW series. In the last 2 cases, Netflix doesn't own the series. They just have the exclusive distribution rights to them. And because of this, you might see a situation where a show is a Netflix original in one country, but not in another. Again, as is the case for Black Lightning, which is not a Netflix original here in the United States.
Yeah, that's kind of the case for a bunch of the CW shows, actually.
Yeah.
And here's what we know about the Netflix distribution rights for the Marvel shows. Again, going back to that Bob Iger quote right after the deal was announced, he makes it very clear that Netflix did not negotiate exclusive distribution rights in perpetuity, or in other words, forever, but instead is limited to a certain period of time, beginning when the series would have started airing in 2015 with Daredevil. We know that Netflix wasn't in the position back then, not like it is now, to aggressively acquire ownership of shows in exchange for big upfront payouts. This is a model that we've become very familiar with in recent years with Netflix as it tries to negotiate more and more ownership and control over the shows that it licenses. Nor would they really have been able to extract those kind of terms from a conglomerate like Disney anyway, especially not in 2013. Disney was definitely negotiating from a position of power, even if Netflix was giving them an opportunity to expand their television universe, right? But Honestly, in my opinion anyway, Netflix was lucky that it brokered the deals that it did before Disney decided to get into the streaming game, and that they had those years to take advantage of Marvel IP to build out their library.
Yeah, I agree with that. They were very lucky, but it also opened up windows for Disney to span. So it was a mutual thing right then.
Yeah.
So as far as this exclusive window is concerned, nothing has ever been publicized by Disney or Netflix. So we don't have any official sources, but it is being reported that the period can be anything from 5 to 15 years, with 7 to 10 years supposedly being the most common range. The important thing is that there will be a day that Daredevil and all the other Defender series will leave Netflix and return to a Disney-owned platform. And because we are nearly 6 years into the distribution window for Daredevil, we're very likely getting closer to the day that we'll see Daredevil outside of Netflix.
That's right. I mean, if you want to be optimistic, it could be in just a year or two, or it might be a few more, right?
It can be any year now, to be honest, because we already passed the 5 years. So
exactly.
We already passed the minimum.
We've gotten at least halfway through, if not more.
Yep.
If we've learned anything, I think, from the last 2 years that we've been a part of this campaign, is that 2 years does feel like a long time, but it does go by pretty quick. And so once you factor in the time it would take to develop, produce, shoot, and then air a revival of Daredevil, we could already be there, right? Or we just need to wait a little longer at that point.
Yep.
So we're feeling hopeful.
We are.
So we hope we answered a few of those lingering questions that you guys may have had over the ownership and rights, and hopefully also reassured the rest of you who are just waiting for Daredevil to return soon. You know, there's a lot of reasons that we feel good about this post-moratorium period, and we do trust that the process is going to play out the way it needs to in order to get our show back the right way as a revival with the same cast and mature rating. But don't worry, Save Daredevil isn't going to wait around quietly, so make sure you're following us on social media. We should have links in the description of this video or on our main channel page. And we definitely have some very cool initiatives in the works to make sure Marvel continues to hear the fandom without fear loud and clear. And if you enjoyed this video, definitely hit subscribe, give us a good rating, and drop a comment. We really want to hear what you think and answer any other questions you may have.
Thank you, everyone.
Yep, thanks.